High above Earth's blue skies, a large silver ship hovered quietly, hidden behind layers of stealth technology. Inside the research vessel from the star system, Scifi 9, a group of alien scientists moved through clean white hallways, their boots making soft sounds on the smooth floors. One of them, a young alien female named Aravexa, walked quickly toward the observation center, her heart beating faster with excitement. Aravexa belonged to the Nirelian species, intelligent beings known for their glowing eyes, soft-colored skin, and small elf-like ears. Her skin shimmered with a pale blue-purple hue, and her hair, tied neatly, shifted colors depending on her mood. Right now, it was a soft violet. She was curious and a little nervous. She had spent her whole life studying Earth from afar. She read thousands of reports, watched human videos, and even listened to their songs. But today, something new was about to happen. Today, she would meet a real human in person. "I can't believe it," she whispered to herself as she entered the lab. "After all this time, I'll finally speak to one." Her mentor, Director Solon, stood near a screen displaying Earth's surface. "Aravexa," Solon said, turning to her, "you've studied human biology more than anyone on this ship. Now, the Earth Council has allowed one of their scientists to meet with us. He'll answer your questions. But be respectful. Humans are sensitive creatures." Aravexa nodded, her glowing eyes wide. "I'll be careful. I have so many questions." Solon smiled slightly. "That's what makes you a good researcher. The human's name is Jason Lin. You'll meet him on the surface in 3 hours." 3 hours later, a small shuttle landed in a quiet area near a human science facility, hidden deep in the forests of northern Canada. The air outside was cold, but fresh. Aravexa stepped out of the shuttle, her long coat swirling in the breeze. Across from her, a man waited. He was tall, wore thick glasses, and had a friendly smile. Aravexa looked at him with wonder. So this was a real Earthling. "Hello," Jason said, offering a polite wave. "I'm Jason. Welcome to Earth, I guess." Aravexa tilted her head. "Hello, I am Aravexa of Scifi 9. I've read about you." Jason chuckled. "I've read about you too. Well, not you personally, but your kind." There was a pause. Aravexa suddenly pulled out a small device and began recording. "Can I ask questions now?" Jason nodded. "Of course." She jumped straight into it. "Is it true that human reproduction involves physical merging of two bodies?" Jason blinked. Yes. I mean, eventually. But it's not just about that. There's a whole process. Dating, bonding, emotions." Aravexa interrupted, her voice serious. "Emotions are not required in Nirelian reproduction. We use resonance chambers. Two individuals align mentally, share genetic energy, and a new life begins. But humans, your process is so different." Jason scratched his head. "Yeah, it's different all right. For us, it's not just science. It's also connection, trust, love." Aravexa stared at him. "Love. I've read about that, but it's hard to understand. Is it part of the reproduction process?" Jason laughed, but it was a kind laugh. "Some would say yes. Others, maybe not always. But the best kind of reproduction comes from love, in our opinion." She quickly typed notes into her device. "Fascinating. So the feelings come before the physical act?" "Usually," Jason replied. "We get to know each other first. Talk, share experiences, make each other laugh, go on walks, build trust. It's not just about creating life. It's about creating a bond." Aravex's eyes glowed a little brighter. "Incredible. My people never considered emotional steps. It's considered inefficient." Jason smiled. "Sometimes it is, but it's also meaningful. That's what makes it beautiful." They walked side by side along a small forest path. Aravexa looked up at the sky, then back at Jason. "Earth is more complex than I thought." He nodded, And you haven't even tried pizza yet. Pizza? She asked, tilting her head again. He grinned. You'll love it. Trust me. She looked thoughtful, then said, You said love again. You'd use that word often. Jason laughed. Yeah, we do. It's kind of our thing. Aravexa tapped her chin. I think I want to experience it. Not just study it. The emotions, the connection, everything. Jason raised an eyebrow. Well, that's a journey, not a test. But I'll do my best to help. She looked at him seriously. Thank you. I believe humans may be more evolved emotionally than we expected. The human science facility was quiet, surrounded by tall trees and white snow. Inside, warm lights and smooth metal walls made it feel safe. Aravexa walked beside Jason, still holding her recording device. She was filled with questions and excitement. Jason opened a door to a small room where they could talk in private. There was a couch, a table, and a screen on the wall. You can sit if you like, Jason said politely. Aravexa looked at the couch and sat down carefully. Your furniture is soft. Is comfort important to humans? Jason smiled. Very. Especially when we talk about deep things. She nodded. That makes sense. There was a short silence, but it wasn't uncomfortable. Jason poured 2 cups of warm tea. He handed one to her. This is chamomile. It helps humans relax. Aravexa sniffed it curiously, then took a small sip. Her eyes widened. It's pleasant. Your species uses flavors to create emotion. Jason chuckled. Sort of. Food brings comfort, happiness, even memories. She typed quickly into her device. Very fascinating. I want to ask about the emotional steps you spoke of earlier. The ones before reproduction. Jason sat across from her, his voice calm. Sure. We call it romance. 2 people feel interest. They spend time together, learn about each other. Sometimes it leads to love. Does everyone experience love? She asked. He shook his head. No. Some never do. Others feel it many times. It's different for everyone. Aravexa stared at him. On my world, emotions are private. They are not shared in this way. You seem to value them deeply. We do, Jason said with a nod. They help us understand each other. She leaned forward, her glowing eyes fixed on him. And love is the reason many humans choose to create life. Jason smiled softly. Yes, that's the best reason, in my opinion. Aravexa was quiet for a moment. On Scifi 9, reproduction is a duty. A pairing is made based on genetic match and age. No emotion, just energy transfer. Jason looked surprised. Wow, that's very different. She nodded. Very. That is why I'm here. I want to understand how your kind connects, how feelings guide your choices. He looked thoughtful. Feelings can be hard. They bring joy but also pain. But that's what makes them real. She slowly repeated, real. Later that day, Jason took Aravexa on a walk through the snowy garden behind the facility. Trees stood tall and white, and soft snowflakes fell from the sky. Aravexa walked slowly, feeling each step on the cold ground. She looked around with wonder. Your world is beautiful, she said. Jason smiled. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it has moments like this. They walked in silence for a while. Then Aravexa asked, when 2 humans fall in love, how do they know it is real? Jason looked up at the sky. Good question. Sometimes, you just feel it. You care about the other person more than yourself. You want them to be happy, even if you don't get anything in return. That sounds powerful, she said softly. It is, Jason replied. But it can also be confusing. Emotions don't always follow logic. Aravexa looked at her hands. That is very different from how we live. They reached a bench and sat together. Jason looked at her. Why are you so curious about this, Aravexa? Is it just for science? She paused, then said, at first, yes. But now, I feel something. A desire to understand your way. Not just the biology, but the meaning. The connection. Jason gave a kind smile. That's a good reason. She looked at him seriously. I don't wish to copy your ways, but I wish to feel what you feel. Even a small part. Jason nodded slowly. We can try. I'll show you how we build trust. How we listen. How we care. Aravex's skin glowed with a soft pink light. That would be appreciated. That night, back in her guest room, Aravexa sat by the window, looking at the stars. She recorded a personal log. Day 1 with human subject Jason Lin. Observations continue. The emotional depth of this species is more than I imagined. Their way of bonding is not just physical, it is mental and spiritual. I will continue my journey to understand it, and perhaps experience it. She paused, then added, Jason is kind. I believe he is helping me more than I expected. I wonder if he understands how important this is to me. She turned off the device and looked out the window again. Earth was strange, but it was starting to feel less distant. The next morning, Aravexa stood in front of a mirror in her guest room, staring at her own reflection. Her soft purplish-blue skin shimmered gently under the room's warm lights. Her small, elf-like ears twitched slightly, a sign of nervousness. She was trying something new, wearing Earth-style clothing. Jason had gifted her a simple scarf and a jacket to keep her warm during their walk today. She didn't really need it. Her species had high resistance to cold, but she wore it anyway. It felt polite and human. Downstairs, Jason was already waiting. He looked up and gave a small grin. Wow, the jacket suits you. Aravexa tilted her head. Thank you. I hope I'm wearing it correctly. You are, he chuckled. Come on. I have something new to show you. They stepped outside again, walking down a path that led to a small greenhouse filled with plants. The warm air inside smelled fresh and alive. Flowers of different colors bloomed on every shelf. What is this place? Aravexa asked, her eyes wide with wonder. A greenhouse, Jason replied. We grow plants here, even in the cold. Each flower has a story, a reason. She moved closer to a red flower and gently touched its petals. Do humans give flowers as part of reproduction? Jason laughed softly. Not exactly. Flowers are often given to show feelings, kindness, apology, love. Love again, she repeated. That word follows you like a shadow. He smiled. It's an important part of our lives. She looked around. So many small actions, offering tea, wearing warm clothes, giving flowers. Your culture shows feelings through gestures. Yes, Jason nodded. Sometimes it's easier than words. Later, they sat inside the greenhouse, sipping more chamomile tea. Aravexa had many new questions. Why don't all humans just pair based on genetic data like Neuralians? She asked. Jason leaned back in his chair. Because we don't choose mates only with our minds. We use our hearts too. We care about personality, humor, kindness, not just DNA. That seems unpredictable, she replied. It is, but it makes life exciting. She thought for a moment, then said, my people believe unpredictability leads to error, to pain. Jason's eyes softened. Sometimes it does. But sometimes it also brings happiness no machine could predict. Aravexa was quiet. Her glowing eyes stared at the steam rising from her cup. Then she spoke softly. My species avoids emotional bonding. It's seen as a weakness, but I don't think it is. Jason looked surprised but glad. You're starting to understand. She nodded. But understanding is not the same as experiencing. That evening, they returned to the main building. Jason turned on a small screen and played a human movie. It was a romance. Two people meeting, becoming friends, then falling in love. Aravexa watched with deep focus. Why are they sad now? She asked at one point. They had a fight, Jason explained. Misunderstanding. But they still care, she said. Why not solve it immediately? He smiled. Because emotions are messy. People make mistakes. They need time to understand each other. When the movie ended, Aravexa sat still, clearly affected. That was powerful, she said. Even though it was only fiction, I felt something. That's what good stories do, Jason replied. She turned to him. Jason, would you help me feel more of these human emotions? Not for study, for myself. Jason looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. We can go slow. Start with trust, friendship. That's how we begin. She reached out and gently touched his hand, the way she saw in the film. Then let us begin. That night, Aravexa recorded her private thoughts. Today I experienced more than I expected. I watched emotional drama unfold on a screen, yet it felt real. I gave and received a gift. I wore a warm item meant for care. These are not just rituals. They are signals of emotional connection. I now understand reproduction, for humans, is not a single act. It is a journey filled with symbols, gestures, and feelings. She paused, then whispered, and I want to take that journey. Back in his room, Jason stared out the window. He had started this as a science project, a diplomatic task. But now he wasn't sure anymore. Aravexa was more than just an alien visitor. She was someone trying, truly trying, to feel like a human, to understand something even humans often struggled with. Maybe, he thought, they were both learning together. The next morning, the sky above the snowy forest was clear and bright. Aravexa stood by the window of her room, watching sunlight reflect off the white trees. She felt something unusual inside her, a soft pressure in her chest. It wasn't pain. It wasn't fear, but it was something new. She placed a hand over her heart and whispered, "Is this what humans call emotion?" Just then, Jason knocked at her door. "Good morning," he said cheerfully. "I have something special planned today." Aravexa turned to face him. "Another human custom." "Not exactly," Jason replied. "Today, we're going to try something called the empathy experiment." Aravexa blinked. "What is that?" Jason smiled. "It's a new project between humans and friendly alien visitors. It's designed to help different species understand each other's emotions. It uses a safe neural link. You'll be able to feel what I feel, and I'll feel what you feel." Aravexa's eyes widened. "You can share feelings." "With your permission, yes," Jason said gently. "Only safe, basic emotions. No memories or private thoughts." Aravexa nodded slowly. "I wish to try. If I am to truly understand your kind, I must feel what you feel." They arrived at a small lab deep inside the facility. A quiet hum filled the air. Two chairs faced each other, with a glowing table between them. A kind-faced technician named Dr. May greeted them. "Please sit," she said. "This process is gentle. You may feel a little warm or lightheaded, but it will pass." Aravexa and Jason sat down. Small sensors were placed near their temples. The table lit up, and a soft voice from the machine spoke. "Empathy link initializing. Please relax." Aravexa closed her eyes. Jason did the same. At first, there was nothing, just silence. Then, like a soft breeze, Aravexa felt something that didn't belong to her, a feeling of peace, warmth, safety. Her eyes flew open. "That's me," Jason said quietly. "That's how I feel when I'm with you." She placed a hand over her chest again. "It's so gentle. It's not like data. It's alive." Jason nodded. "Now you'll feel one more." Suddenly, she felt something else, a burst of joy, like sunlight through clouds. She gasped. "What is this?" she asked. "Hope," Jason replied. "It's what I feel about this journey with you." Tears formed in Aravexa's glowing eyes, not because of pain, but because the emotions were too big to hold in. And then something unexpected happened. Jason's eyes opened wider. He was feeling something from her now. It's curiosity, he whispered, but also loneliness. You've felt alone for a long time, haven't you? Aravexa looked down. On my planet, feelings are kept inside. I never knew how much I wanted someone to understand me. Until now. Jason reached across the table and gently touched her hand. You're not alone anymore. The machine softly beeped. The session was over. Later that evening, Aravexa stood outside under the stars, wrapped in the jacket Jason had given her. The world felt different now. Bigger, yet warmer. She had felt human emotions and shared her own. It wasn't just science anymore. It was something deeper. Jason walked up beside her. Are you okay? He asked. I don't have the right words yet, she replied. But I think I understand what humans mean when they say connection. Jason smiled. It's a good word. She looked at him seriously. You felt my loneliness. And you stayed. Of course, he said. That's what friends do. Aravexa slowly reached out and touched his hand again, more naturally this time. Then I hope we stay connected. For longer than just this mission. Jason nodded. I'd like that too. Later that night, Aravexa recorded her personal log. Empathy experiment. Complete. Results. Unexpected. Sharing emotions with Jason was unlike anything I've experienced. His kindness, his hope, they entered my heart. And my loneliness, he saw it, and he did not walk away. He stayed. She paused, then added softly, perhaps reproduction for humans is not just about creating life. Perhaps it is about sharing life, feeling life, with another. In his own room, Jason sat near his window, thinking about what he had felt. Aravex's emotions had been strong, lonely, curious, yet full of quiet strength. He realized now that she wasn't just a visitor from another planet. She was someone brave enough to explore the unknown not with machines, but with her heart. And that, he thought, was something very human. The next few days passed quietly, but with a sense of growing closeness. Aravex's initial curiosity about human emotions had slowly turned into something deeper, something personal. She spent time with Jason, not just as a scientist learning, but as someone beginning to understand the warmth of human connection. It was another bright morning when Jason invited her to a new activity. Today, I want to show you something that might help you understand human connection better, he said, his eyes sparkling with excitement. But first, you have to trust me. Aravexa looked up from the notes she had been reading. Trust is something I am learning, she replied. What will this experience teach me? Jason smiled. It's not about teaching, it's about feeling. Aravexa stood and followed him outside, feeling a little uncertain. They'd walked through the facility's garden, past rows of carefully pruned trees and blooming flowers, until they reached a quiet clearing near a small pond. The water was calm, reflecting the trees above. Jason motioned toward the pond. This is one of the places I come to when I need to think. It's a place for quiet, reflection, and letting things be. Aravexa took a step closer to the water, the cool air around her adding to the calm. She couldn't help but feel a sense of peace here. It is beautiful, she said softly. He stood next to her, his hands in his pockets. Humans often seek peace and connection through nature. It helps us remember that there's more to life than work, problems, and everything else. Aravexa glanced at him, her voice quieter now. It's strange. I've never felt this way. So calm. On Scifi 9, we focus only on duty, on purpose. Jason turned to face her, his expression serious but kind. Purpose is important, but I think humans also need time to just be, to breathe, to feel. She turned back to the pond. I understand that now. Your emotions are powerful. I didn't realize how much they guide you. Jason looked at her with a mixture of warmth and care. That's why I wanted to bring you here. To show you that emotions, feelings, are as important as knowledge. They don't replace reason, but they make life fuller. They give it meaning. Aravexa remained quiet, reflecting on his words. She felt a deep longing to understand these feelings more. But more than that, she felt a pull, a desire to experience them as humans did. Later that afternoon, Aravexa sat in the room she had been staying in, writing down her thoughts in her personal log. Her mind was full of questions, but more than that, there was an unfamiliar sense of longing. Humans, she wrote, don't just live for duty or knowledge. They live for something more, something that cannot be quantified. Emotions shape their lives, their choices, and even their actions. She paused and added, Jason's kindness has made me feel something new. A curiosity. But more than curiosity, I want to understand, not just as a researcher, but as someone who is learning to feel. She closed the log, staring out the window. The sky was deep blue, with just a hint of stars beginning to appear. She couldn't shake the feeling that her journey was just beginning. There was so much more to learn, so much more to feel. That evening, Jason invited her to the dining area for dinner. As they sat together, he placed a dish of Earth food in front of her. The food was unfamiliar, but its smell was pleasant. He had even set the table carefully, as if making a special effort. What is this? Aravexa asked, looking at the dish curiously. It's called spaghetti, Jason said, smiling. It's one of my favorite dishes. Humans eat it during casual dinners. It's not fancy, but it's full of flavor. She picked up a fork, awkwardly trying to twirl the pasta as she had seen in the human videos. Jason chuckled softly. You don't have to do it like that. Just eat however you want. Aravexa looked up, her glowing eyes meeting his. I am trying to understand your world, Jason. How you live, how you feel. If I do not try, how can I truly learn? He nodded, his smile warm and patient. I understand. You're doing great, really. They ate in silence for a moment, and Aravexa felt a sense of peace, just sharing this simple moment with Jason. She had never expected to find such comfort in something so small as dinner. But here she was, feeling something that wasn't just curiosity anymore. She put down her fork and looked at him directly. Jason, I want to ask you something, and I need your honesty. He looked up, sensing the seriousness in her voice. Of course. She hesitated, her heart beating a little faster than usual. When humans bond, when you form a connection, is it always emotional? Can it be physical as well? Jason paused, clearly understanding her question. Human bonds are always emotional. But yes, sometimes they include physical closeness. It's a way of expressing the feelings we already have. Aravexa's eyes glowed softly as she absorbed his words. She wasn't sure what she had expected, but somehow it made sense. Emotions came first, then the connection between two people could take many forms. She spoke softly. If I am to learn, to truly understand, I think I must experience it for myself. Not as an experiment, but as a person. Will you help me? Jason looked at her, his expression unreadable for a moment. Then he smiled gently. I'll help you, he said, but we'll take it slow. There's no rush. I want you to feel comfortable. Aravexa smiled, her heart feeling lighter than it had ever felt before. For the first time, she was beginning to understand what it meant to truly connect with another being. And she knew that this was just the beginning of something that would change her forever. The next few days passed with an air of quiet anticipation. Aravexa had learned much about human life, emotions, and customs, but still, there was something deep inside her, a feeling that she couldn't fully understand. She felt something different when she was near Jason, something that went beyond curiosity or scientific interest. It was an emotion, something uniquely human. She had felt it before, during their empathy experiment, but now it seemed to grow stronger, more defined. Jason, for his part, had noticed the change. It was subtle at first, an extra moment of silence, a quiet glance that lingered a little longer than usual. He had been careful, respecting Aravexa's need for space, for understanding. He had no idea where this would lead, but he also couldn't deny that something had shifted between them. One crisp morning, they stood side by side in the small garden behind the facility. The air was cool, the sky clear, and the leaves rustled gently in the breeze. Jason looked at Aravexa, who had her eyes closed, her face turned toward the sun, absorbing the warmth as if she were trying to take in all the life around her. He had never seen her so peaceful. "Aravexa," Jason said, his voice soft, almost hesitant. "Do you feel it too?" She opened her eyes and turned to him. Her expression was thoughtful, as if she had been searching for the right words. "I do," she replied quietly, "but I don't fully understand it. I feel connected to you, in a way that's beyond anything I've ever felt." Jason's heart skipped a beat. He had felt that same connection, that same pull, but he hadn't known how to express it. How could he? They were from different worlds, different species. But here, in this quiet garden, everything seemed to fade away. "I think I understand too," he said, taking a step closer. "It's not just about sharing emotions. It's more than that. It's the way you make me feel when I'm around you. Safe. Understood." Aravexa's glowing eyes softened, and she took a deep breath. "I never imagined that something as simple as sharing feelings could feel so important. But now it's all I can think about. It's as if everything else I've ever learned doesn't matter as much as this connection." Jason reached out and gently touched her hand. "I'm glad we're sharing this, Aravexa. I think I'd want to understand it more too." They stood there for a long moment, both of them feeling the weight of the connection between them. It wasn't just an experiment anymore. It wasn't just curiosity. This was something deeper, something real. Later that evening, they sat together in the facility's dining room, the quiet hum of the building surrounding them. They had been talking, laughing, and sharing stories for hours. But now, the atmosphere had changed. It was as if the air itself was filled with an unspoken question, a question neither of them had dared to ask until now. Jason put down his cup and looked at Aravexa. "I've been thinking a lot about what you said. About emotions. About connection." Aravexa met his gaze, her heart racing slightly. "And what have you decided?" Jason paused, his expression serious. I think I'm ready to take the next step. I want to understand this feeling we have between us, to see where it can go, not just as a friend, but as something more. As two beings, sharing something real." Aravexa's heart skipped a beat. She had thought about this moment, wondered what it would be like to take that step with Jason. But now, hearing him say it, she wasn't sure how to respond. It was everything she had been feeling, everything she had been afraid to admit to herself. "I feel the same," she whispered. "But I'm afraid, Jason. My species doesn't bond the way humans do. I don't know if I'm ready for what this means." Jason reached across the table and gently took her hand. "We don't have to rush. We can take things slowly. We'll go at your pace, but I don't want to deny what we're feeling. I think what we have is worth exploring." Aravexa's eyes shone with emotion. She had never expected to feel this way. In her culture, emotions were controlled, kept in check. But here, with Jason, she was learning that emotions could be powerful, freeing, and beautiful. She wanted to explore that. She wanted to experience it fully. "Then, let's take that step together," she said softly. The days that followed were filled with small moments of connection. They spent time talking, laughing, sharing meals, and simply being in each other's presence. The more time they spent together, the more Aravexa began to understand the complexity of human emotions. She learned about trust, about vulnerability, and about the strength that came with allowing someone else to see you, truly see you, without fear or shame. And through it all, she began to understand something else as well. This connection she shared with Jason wasn't just about emotion. It wasn't just about physical closeness. It was about two beings from different worlds, choosing to share their lives with each other, despite the unknowns. Aravexa didn't know where this journey would take her, but for the first time in her life, she felt truly alive, not just as a researcher, but as a person. as someone capable of experiencing the world in a way she had never imagined. The days that followed were filled with quiet moments of discovery. Aravexa and Jason continued their journey of understanding one another, each day bringing something new, something unexpected. It was no longer just about sharing knowledge or experiencing new emotions. It was about creating something together, something that felt bigger than either of them alone. One morning, Jason invited Aravexa to join him for a walk through the forest. The trees were tall and the air crisp, filled with the scent of pine. The sun had just risen, casting a soft golden light over the landscape. Aravexa was still learning to appreciate these small, beautiful moments of Earth life, things she had never taken the time to notice before. "You know," Jason said as they walked side by side, "there's something special about this place, about this planet. Humans often forget how beautiful it is because we're too busy. But when you slow down like this, you can really feel it." Aravexa nodded. She had been feeling the same way lately. "I've never understood the concept of taking a break before," she said, her voice thoughtful. "On Scifi 9, we're always focused on progress, on what's next. But here, I feel like I'm learning how to live, how to just be." Jason smiled. "That's the human experience. It's not always about the future. Sometimes, it's about the moment you're in." They walked in silence for a while, taking in the beauty around them. Aravexa could feel the difference in the air, the quiet peace of nature, and the warmth of Jason's presence beside her. It was the kind of peaceful feeling that she had never known existed, yet it felt so natural here. It was becoming clear to her that the more time she spent on Earth, the more she was learning about herself, about how to feel, about how to live. As they reached a clearing in the forest, Jason stopped and looked at her. "Aravexa, I want to ask you something," he said. "Something important." Aravexa turned to face him, her heart suddenly beating faster. She had been expecting this moment. This was where their journey together would take them next. But she wasn't sure what he would say. She wasn't sure what the future held for them. "What is it?" she asked, her voice steady despite the flutter in her chest. Jason took a deep breath. "I've been thinking about everything that's happened between us. The feelings we've shared, the bond that's growing. And I want to know, do you think this is something worth pursuing? Something real?" Aravexa's heart seemed to stop for a moment. She had known, deep down, that this question was coming. She had felt it in the quiet moments, in the times they had spent together. Every laugh, every touch, every shared look. This was not just a human emotion she was learning about. This was something that transcended their species. This was a connection. She took a deep breath and looked into Jason's eyes, her glowing eyes reflecting the sunlight filtering through the trees. "I think it is real," she said softly. "I've never felt anything like this before. On Scifi 9, we don't bond in this way. But with you, I feel something different, something deep, and I want to understand it. I want to experience it, not just as an experiment, but as something true." Jason smiled, his eyes warm with understanding. "I feel the same way. I think we're both learning something new, something important." For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The world around them seemed to fall away, leaving just the two of them standing there, sharing a silent understanding. They had both come from different worlds, different ways of thinking, yet here they were, together. Aravexa reached out slowly, her hand brushing against his. It was a simple gesture, but it meant everything. She had spent so much of her life focused on logic, on data, on understanding the physical world. But now, in this moment, she understood something far more important. She understood connection. She understood that this, what they shared, was the real discovery. Jason gently took her hand in his, holding it with care. "I think we're ready to see where this goes, together." Aravexa nodded, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. She didn't know what the future held, but for the first time, she wasn't afraid. Whatever came next, she would face it with Jason by her side. Together, they would learn, grow, and explore not just the universe, but each other. The next few days were filled with more quiet moments, more shared experiences. They spent time learning about each other's worlds, but also about what it meant to be truly present in the moment. Aravexa felt more and more at home on Earth, more and more connected to Jason. She wasn't just a researcher anymore. She was a person learning to love, to trust, and to live. One evening, as they sat outside, looking up at the stars, Aravexa spoke again. "Jason," she said softly, her voice almost a whisper, "I've been thinking about our connection. I think I'm ready to take the next step, not just as a researcher, but as someone who wants to be with you." Jason turned to her, his expression filled with hope and understanding. "I'm ready too, Aravexa. Let's take this step together." And as the stars twinkled overhead, the two of them sat in the quiet comfort of knowing that they had found something rare, something worth exploring together.